Hi guys. I decided to make a video for our lesson this week because rather than having you guys read through paragraph and paragraph and paragraph of instructions, it's easier for me to show you what we're going to be working on rather than just tell you like read 16 paragraphs and try to understand what the heck I mean. So you get to hang out with me today. We're going to be practicing perspective this week. A lot of complex things about perspective, so we are going to keep it down to the absolute basics today. If you don't know what perspective in artwork is, it's basically just your point of view. As an artist, your job is to kind of show people what you're looking at or what you want them to look at. You're essentially like handing them your eyes and saying, look, this is the way that I see things. This is the way I want you to view what I painted or what I drew or what I want you to look at. So there's so many crazy things that we can do and we will do with perspective. But today we're going to practice creating depth. We're going to create depth in our page. We're going to expand the space. If you remember back to the elements of art that we talked about, we're going to create a lot of space today. So instead of having a piece of paper, this is what I'm going to be working on. We're just going to show how far back you can make things appear in a drawing. You can create so much space on a flat 2D surface, which is really cool. So to do this lesson, you don't need a ton of crazy things. I have my ginormous sketchbook. You don't need a paper this big. You can use little like printer paper. This is a book, I know, but like this size of paper works just fine. Try not to go anything super smaller than that because it'll just be hard to kind of cram everything in, plus lines start to converge and stuff. So you'll need a piece of paper, relatively large, I don't particularly care. You'll need a straight edge. I have my ruler. If you don't have a ruler at your house, there's so many things that you can use for a straight edge. You can use a book, you can use an iPad, you can use a picture frame, anything that's straight, anything that helps you draw a straight line. We want to try to avoid eyeballing things today, so try to find something that's straight if you don't have a ruler. And then obviously, because we are drawing, pencil and eraser. Try not to do this in pen. We have to erase a lot of stuff and that's just kind of crappy. But yeah, that's all we gotta do. I'm gonna show you guys just kind of up close and personal as I draw along, and then your job is to replicate what I draw today. We're going to build off of this lesson, so it's not going to be anything super duper crazy today, but you need to be a sponge. You're going to soak up everything about perspective so that when it gets to the point where we get to do fun project stuff, you understand and it's not difficult, because this is supposed to be fun. If you can understand perspective, your artwork becomes much more believable. People get kind of weirded out when perspectives are off. Things look out of proportion. Things look kind of wonky. So if you can master what we're doing today, your drawings will go up a level so fast. So be a sponge today, try to have fun, and let's draw. Alright guys, here we go. I've got all of my supplies ready to rock and roll. I've got my straight edge, I've got my eraser, and my pencil. It's all sharpened and ready to go. Let's practice perspective. Now, again, perspective is just showing everybody else your point of view, the way that you see things. It's kind of a cool trick that we get to do as artists. We kind of get to make people see the way that we want them to see, or like make them understand what we see through our eyes, which is really cool. To start this exercise, I kind of want you guys to watch everything first, and then at the end you can rewind it, you can kind of follow along step by step. I think that's a little bit easier, but if you want to draw along, it's kind of cool because you get to pause. You don't really get to pause me in the classroom. Try to watch it all the way first before you mute me. I know that a lot of you guys would love to have the mute button on some of your teachers sometimes, but make sure you're listening at least once to what we have to say, and then you can mute me all you want and play way cooler music that sounds way better than my voice after. So, to start, in dealing with perspective, we draw something called a horizon line. It's basically a line that goes horizontally all the way across your paper, and this kind of marks where the land kind of meets the sky. If we're drawing a landscape, if we're drawing a city, if we're drawing train tracks disappearing into the distance, the first thing you kind of want to mark out is that area where land meets the sky. It's kind of your baseline. So I'm going to take my straight edge. I've already kind of drawn one on here. You can see it. But you're going to take your straight edge, kind of put it in the middle of your paper for now. Horizon lines can be higher on the page, they can be lower on the page depending on what you see, but for this exercise we're going to keep everything kind of in the middle. So take your straight edge, hold it down, draw a nice straight line all the way across your page, just like this. Where this is a learning exercise, I want you guys on your assignments to label things as we go, so it's kind of like visual note-taking. So once we've drawn our horizon line kind of off here to the side, I'm going to label this so I don't forget. I'm learning all of this stuff. If you already knew what a horizon line was, that is awesome. Good for you. If you didn't, now you do. You've got notes on it. So, sky up here, land down here, theoretically, this is the separation line. The next thing that we talk about in perspective is the vanishing point. When you're looking off into the distance, there's a point. If you go out on your street, if you go up into the mountains or you're in an airplane or whatever, there's a point where things get too far away for your eyes to see anymore. It's a point where everything kind of disappears into the distance, things get a little bit fuzzy and you can no longer see. In art, we call that a vanishing point because everything vanishes. Now, the more complex you get into drawing, there's a lot of different types of perspective drawings that you can do that incorporate more than one vanishing point. You can have 2, you can have 3, you can have 8. Things get a little bit wild when you do that. But for this exercise, we are going to focus on 1 point perspective, which means we only have 1 vanishing point. For this exercise, that vanishing point has to live somewhere on this horizon line that we've drawn. For the sake of this example, I'm just going to put mine right in the center. It's just a little dot. It's teeny, you can barely see it, and it doesn't really look in the video like it's centered, but I promise it is on my paper. This is my vanishing point. So again, just like the horizon line, I'm going to label this so I don't forget. This is my vanishing point. Okay? So now we've kind of got everything set up, and from here you can draw all sorts of cool stuff. You can draw a lot of times when people think of linear perspective, which is what we're working with, they think of buildings, they think of streets, which we'll get there. Today we're going to practice drawing simple forms in 1 point perspective, which is awesome because it allows me to show you all the different point of views. The first thing I want you guys to draw is a square. I know it sounds too easy, and it is because I've seen all of your guys' work, but we are just going to draw a nice little square. I'm not using my straight edge. If you want to use your straight edge and have a beautiful, perfect square, you absolutely can. But as long as it looks square-ish, you'll be just fine. For the first square, make sure that it is on the horizon line. Like the horizon line goes right through the center of it. Otherwise, it's kind of not what we're practicing. Okay, so this is a square. A square is a shape, and we want to turn this into a form. Forms are 3D shapes, they have mass, volume, they take up space. So we're going to turn him into a cube. The reason we want to turn him into a cube is because this guy's flat, and the whole purpose of this is we're trying to create depth, right? So if we just leave a flat little square on our drawing, people aren't going to be like, oh cool, that looks like it goes on forever. It's just going to be a boring little square, which is not what we want. So I'm going to turn this into a cube, and now I need my straight edge. So I'm going to take my straight edge, and I'm going to line it up with my vanishing point, and I'm just going to kind of follow along until I run into my first corner of my shape. So I'm touching the vanishing point and this corner of my shape, and once I've hit that corner, I'm just going to draw a really, really light line that connects this corner with my vanishing point. Draw these really, really lightly because you're going to erase a lot of these later, and we want to avoid ghost lines. So that's my first connection. The second connection, if I keep going and I'm waiting for a corner the next corner that I would run into is this guy right here, which if you notice, vanishing point corner down here, if I were to draw, I'll just draw it for you. If I were to draw that corner back to the vanishing point, I would actually have to draw back through my shape, which, that's not very dark, sorry. That draws right through my square, and if I'm drawing something like a building or a box or something that's opaque and not see-through, that's kind of a pointless step. So I'm actually, let me see if I can erase this. I'm going to have ghost lines, which is so sad. I'm going to skip that step because I am drawing a non-see-through box today. If you guys are drawing like an ice cube or something that is see-through, you would have to connect that corner. But I'm just going to move on. So I hit that corner. I don't need to draw that one because I don't want to draw back through my form. Then the next corner I hit is this guy up here, and I am going to skip him for the exact same reasons as the last one. So the last corner I'm actually going to connect back to my vanishing point is that corner. So if you look, I've got kind of this box shape that looks like it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever until I can't see it anymore. If we were drawing a house, this would be like the world's longest house ever. Because I want to make this into a box, I don't want this to go on forever and ever, we need to cut it off. We need to say, here's the front of the box, here's the back. So somewhere in these construction lines that I've drawn, right, I need to show where the back of that form is. So the way I do that is I am going to have to learn how to draw a parallel line. You guys probably learned these in math, you're experts at these. A parallel line is a line that is kind of like an equal sign. They go the same direction, they never intersect. So yeah, we'll just draw that guy. I'm going to take my straight edge and I'm going to notice this edge here, and I'm going to draw a parallel line somewhere inside those construction lines that I've started. Notice that the further back, like the closer I go to the vanishing point, the larger this form is going to appear, right? If I drew my parallel line all the way back here next to the vanishing point, that would look way, way, way long, which, if that's what you're going for, that's awesome, right? But I just put mine right in the middle, right? And if I cover up the remaining construction lines, I've got myself a cube. From here, we just kind of clean up our drawing a little bit. So I'm going to take my eraser, and after this parallel line, I no longer need my construction lines, so I can erase those guys. Just be really careful that I'm not erasing my notes. Don't want to erase my vanishing point. Okay, I've erased those construction lines. And then, because this box is opaque, right, if you want to erase the horizon line going straight through that form, it'll kind of make it a little bit more believable as being like something opaque. So I've erased this guy, and I'm drawing with a super dark pencil so you guys can see. So you should have way fewer ghost lines than I do because these are sad. But now I have a cube. I have something that looks three-dimensional. It looks pretty cool. So that's how we put things in perspective. It's all about drawing things back to our vanishing point, kind of pulling things back in space, and making our picture look like it goes actually into that two-dimensional space. Okay, now we have to talk about eye level. Imagine that you have, let's draw an eye, right? Imagine this is your eye. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, right? Okay. Our eyes can look up, they can look straight out, and they can look down. Imagine you have like laser beam eyes, which would be really, really cool, right? In perspective, you kind of have to take into account your eye level. Do you want people to believe that they're looking up at something, right? Do you want people to look like they're looking up, down, or do you want your picture to look like you're looking straight at it? Your eye level has everything to do with the way that people are going to see things. So if I look at this cube, because I've drawn this square on the horizon line, this gives the illusion that I am looking straight out at my subject. It's straight in front of me. I don't see the bottom. I don't see the top. I only see the side, right? So I am looking straight at this guy, straight out. So we're going to label this cube our eye level cube. I'm looking straight at it. That's this point right here. I don't feel like I'm looking up at it. The next form we're going to draw is another cube, but we are going to play with things that are above and below eye level, which is really fun. So for my next step, somewhere above your horizon line, I don't care if it's on the right or the left hand side of your paper, you're going to draw another square. Just starting out with another super simple shape. You can use your straight edge. Mine I'm just going to sketch out just because that's fun. Okay, so I've got my square. It doesn't look very square. And we kind of just follow the same steps. I want to turn this into a cube because this is a two-dimensional flat shape, and I want to make it a really cool 3D form. So I'm going to take my handy-dandy straight edge, connect it to my vanishing point, and I'm going to run into my first corner. Because that corner doesn't draw itself back through the actual shape, I'm going to connect it to my vanishing point, and then I keep going, 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 going. The next one I hit is actually this one up here, but because it draws through the shape, I'm going to skip it. Then I'm going to go to this bottom corner right here. That one doesn't draw through the shape, so I connect it. The last one that we run into is actually this top one up here, and that one doesn't draw through the shape either, so I can connect that one. So notice a little bit of a difference between these two already. Because we've drawn this above the horizon line, above our eye level, we can see a few more things. We can see the bottom of this form and the side of this form because it's off center and above our eye level. Okay, next step, if you remember back to this guy, was that parallel line, right? So because we see more than one side than just this, we have to think about two parallel lines. The first one that I want you guys to worry about is the same one that we did on here, right? We've got this side and we cut off this side. So imagine that this part isn't here, right? This side right here is the first parallel line that I want you to match. So if I take my straight edge, right? My straight edge says that it's going right here. So somewhere inside of this triangle, I just have to match this line with a parallel. So I can slide it out as far as I want, and as long as I keep it going the same direction, right, as that first one, it's going to be nice and parallel, and it'll look really cool. So parallel lines first, do the side because it's easier, we've already done that. And then for this bottom part, we just have to match this angle right here. For all my math friends out there, if you notice, because we're drawing a cube, because we're drawing a square shape, this angle is going to form a 90-degree angle because it's a square, right? So because I've already drawn this parallel line here, I have to match this parallel line here, and I know that if I drag this down and I make it parallel, I'm going to make another 90-degree angle right down here. So if you need to check, right, if you need to check these, just make sure that you're making those 90-degree angles. The biggest issue that I see people do with drawing these forms above eye level is they'll go to draw their parallel lines, right? Let's say right over here, right? I've connected all of this back to my vanishing point. The biggest issue that I see is when people are trying to match this parallel line, they'll do this, right? See how that's not parallel? If I draw these forever and ever, they're going to intersect. They're actually going to intersect quite quickly. So double check, double triple check, make sure things are parallel, draw slowly, double check, because we really, if you draw this kind of wonky, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So we really want to focus, we really want to take our time and make sure we have parallel lines going on, okay? And then, once we've got both of those drawn, we've made a cube. We've made a three-dimensional form. We just need to clean up our drawing a little bit and get rid of our construction lines. So take your eraser. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera, making you guys seasick. Okay, and I've got this guy. He's all done. It's all pretty cool looking. So this original one we were looking straight out at, right? If we look back to our eye diagram, we were looking straight up at it. Because we've drawn this form above our horizon line, it's going to give the illusion that people are looking up at it. Imagine, gosh, imagine something on the ground down here, like a little wormy guy, right? If I draw my little worm, I know worms probably don't have eyes, but this guy's going to have one, right? Imagine you're a worm looking up at this. If we're thinking about his eye level, he's not looking straight out in front of him, he's looking up. So this perspective that we're talking about with this particular cube is going to be above eye level for obvious reasons, right? So make sure you label that one. If you want to draw a cool little wormy guy, you can, because why not? It's always funner when you have pictures. Pictures help you learn. Cool. So I've got my little worm guy looking up at my above eye level form. Sorry, I'm going to sharpen my pencil. This might be loud. Okay. Above eye level, worm's eye view. We'll talk about that later. Don't worry about worm's eye view. So the only other perspective that we have to think about or practice right now is below eye level. And below eye level, guys, at this point you should be pretty expert level at this, right? We've done something above, we've done something at, so the next one, if it's below, has to live below our horizon line or below our eye level. So just like the last ones, sketch yourself a nice little square. You should be professional at this by now. Ooh, that's the best one yet. Try to do this one on your own. Try to see, even if you mute me for a second, see if you can do this one all by yourself. See if you can get all the steps. I'm still going to do this one along with you, but see if you can do this one. Test yourself, right? Connecting to my vanishing point, running into corners, connect that corner. Ooh, these ones are almost perfect. I'm going to connect this corner. I'm not going to connect this corner because remember, if I do, I draw through the form and we're not drawing see-through things, so I'm going to skip this corner. And then my last one. Okay, just like that. Next step is our parallel line. We are matching two sides. We're matching this guy and we're matching this guy. Super, super crucial step. Take your time on this part, make it look right. If you need to use your straight edge as a reference to like keep that direction going, you absolutely can. But make sure these are the same. That's the biggest issue people have. Once that one's the same, as long as I keep this one, just like that. If you have to turn them into arrows, you can, right? Just like if I were to draw them out here, they're still parallel. Parallel, parallel, not wonky weird. And then you erase. Erase your construction lines, make it look cool, make it look like a cube. Try not to erase my really cool eye diagram from earlier. Okay, and then, just like this guy, below the horizon line, below eye level, I'm going to label this so I don't forget. This is my below eye level cube, above eye level. If you have trouble remembering these, think about what side you can see. If we go up to the above eye level one, if it's above my eye level, I can see the bottom of it, right? I'm looking up at it. It's above me. It's high in the sky. Think of yourself as a little worm if you have to, right? This one, if it's below eye level, right, you're going to see the top. It's kind of like opposites attract. So if you can see the top of something like this, you're above it. It's below where you're looking. It's down here, right? So if you need to remind yourself, draw yourself a little birdie guy up here. It's going to look more like a bat, and that's okay. Right? He's looking. This is a really sad drawing, but that's okay. He's looking. He's looking down. What if this was like a little worm? right? He's looking down, he's above it, so this is below his eye level. Okay? That's pretty much it for this kind of intro little lesson. If you guys find that this is extremely easy, that's amazing. If this is the first time you've ever done this and it's a little bit of a challenge for you, that's still awesome, because I hope that I've made this kind of easy enough to understand. If you can draw these 3 simple forms, you can draw just about anything in perspective. For example, if I were to draw, gosh, I could turn some of these guys into some crazy stuff. I'll flip the page, draw this really quick, and I'll show you some other things that you can kind of turn these simple forms into. Because if you can draw this, okay, we're back. Now, sharpening my pencil. I'm gonna show you guys what you can take these and turn them into, because these are boring, right? Anybody can draw these. We want to make things that are visually interesting. So once you've got these little guys established, just kind of think about what are some things in life that you see that are around you that are cube-like, cube-ish, right? Anything that's similar to these shapes we can kind of mold into what we're trying to show. So my favorite example to draw for these are feet, right? When you think of a foot, you don't necessarily think of like these little flat boxes, but it kind of is like a little square, right? It kind of is like a little cube. If I take this, make sure you do 5 toes, otherwise it won't be super believable. If I draw some toes in here, right, and I kind of draw the little, this is a really fast, crappy sketch, but it's going to be cool because it's awesome. Draw some toes on it, right? I kind of connect that up like that. Ball of the foot looks right here. The whole purpose of drawing these simple forms is you kind of start to show things receding in space, right? Things going back, things getting smaller as they get closer to the vanishing point. As long as you can kind of show something that recedes, right, that goes back towards this vanishing point, it's going to look 3-dimensional. It's going to look like it's sticking out and being all 3D. So we just turned this little guy into a cool little foot, right? All we had to learn how to draw was a rectangle, and all of a sudden we've got this really weird, I'm gonna make it hairy because that's fun. We've got this really weird giant foot in the middle of our page instead of like a flat, boring little box thing. So that's cool, right? You can turn these into anything. This is so much fun. I love doing this. You can turn these into, gosh, what should we turn this one into? We could turn this into, what's a box that flies? We could turn this into, oh guys, I wish you were here because you always have such better ideas than I do. Let me think. We can turn this in, oh my gosh. Okay. We can, have you guys watched Star Wars? Of course you've watched Star Wars. Everyone's watched Star Wars except for me. I don't watch Star Wars a whole lot, but you know those like weird little walking metal machine gun evil things that I don't even know what video it's in. You guys probably think I'm an idiot, but I swear. What if we put legs on these, right? I think those things only have 2 legs. I'm not sure. You guys probably hate me right now. That's fine. What if I put, okay, there's legs on it now. And, oh gosh, I need a reference. Oh well. But we could do, I think they have heads on them. I think they do. Watch me put this in perspective really quick. Corner, vanishing point. Corner, vanishing point. Corner, vanishing point. Face. Do. And then I think they have guns, right? I don't know. They shoot things because they always do the little pew pew things. So we're gonna do. This is gonna look like a demented flamingo, but it's supposed to be Star Warsy and cool. I'm gonna look up a picture of this later and just hate myself because it's so inaccurate. But this is cool, right? notice, because this guy is so big and tall and ginormous, that we are going to look up and see the bottom of this apparatus, so that would make this guy above our eye level, right? Above our eye level. This foot, because I can see the top of it, is below my eye level, and if you guys ever forget, just ask yourself where your horizon line is. But look how cool this turns into, right? I've got these weird little flamingo-looking legs on this guy. They're probably way more advanced, right? They've probably got like all these cool little gears and stuff in them. But there's like our there's our little Star Wars guy. How cool is that? You can put like those little like fighter things in the sky. I don't know what those are called either. I need to watch Star Wars before I make a video on this, because this is kind of sad. Just pew pew pew, right? That's fun. This one we'll keep it kind of normal. We'll turn it into a regular old house, because that's kind of what I want you guys to practice on. Simple things. Simple things. Start simple and then obviously build complex, because I'm not saying that I want you guys to just like spend all day drawing easy things. Sharpening my pencil again, sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this into a little house, because why not? I'm gonna turn this, no, I'm not gonna make it. Let's make this into a flower shop, because I love plants, guys. I love them so much. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a door on this thing, right? Doors are rectangular. So I'm gonna draw a little rectangle. Because this is eye level, right? Because I'm looking straight at this, we can draw just a regular old rectangle. We don't have to worry about connecting anything to vanishing points, because I am looking technically straight forward at this door, right? So we can make this just a regular old door. I like to put windows in doors because that's fun, right? So there's my door, right? Maybe I've got like a window over here. Window over here. Okay, now I want to show you some cool stuff with perspective with buildings, because that's what we're going to work on next time. This is so easy. This is awesome. If you want to draw windows on this side of the building, it would look super duper wonky if we drew them as perfect squares like I did this. Because what we're showing the viewer with this side of our building, guys, is that it's going back in space. So if you draw something that's perfectly square on a side that's in perspective, it's gonna look really weird. So don't do that, right? You can still draw windows on this side, but they have to be drawn in perspective. So the way that we do that is you draw a line, just like that, and then you connect the top and bottom of that line to your vanishing point. Check this out. Top, bottom, boom. Pretend that that goes all the way, right? From there, let me darken this so you can actually see. Here's my lines. From there, guys, I just have to draw a parallel line. It's so easy. So easy. So somewhere inside, obviously on the building, still, don't have your window like poke out into space. That'd be super weird. But I just have to match that line that I started with. I have to match this parallel line. So somewhere inside of that little thing that I just drew, I just draw parallel, and then these two sides, because they're connected to my vanishing point, are in perspective, and everything's gonna look awesome. So start with a line, connect them to the vanishing point, parallel, and you have windows. You can draw so many windows on the sides of your buildings. You can do this with doors, right? If I wanted to put this door over here, I would just draw a line for how tall I want that door to be, right? Draw a line, connect it to the vanishing point. All of a sudden I have a door on the side of my building. Really cool stuff. And then the last thing I'll show you, and then I'll be done for the day, is a roof. A roof, right? A triangular roof. Lots of different ways you can do this, guys. I'm just going to show you the absolute easiest way. If I go up, gosh, this is going to be kind of complex for you guys, but I'm sorry. Let me show you actually. Nope, this will be right. If you draw an X, like corner to corner, in this first box right here, I'll show you as soon as I move my straight edge. If you do this, guys, if you draw an X in this, this will always show you where the absolute center of your box is. And then from there, we can go like this. Woo! And the reason you would do that is because it gives you kind of the center of that triangular part of the roof. If you just kind of eyeball it, your roof can look a little wonky. But then from there, I'm just using my straight edge to get straight lines. I'm not really like doing anything technical quite yet. I just wanted a really straight, pointy, triangular roof. Right? Okay. Nothing is in perspective on this side quite yet, just because I'm looking straight at it, right? The door's right here, the windows are right here. I'm looking straight at this. This part of the roof, like this side piece, is going to be the part that we put in perspective. That's the part that we connect to the vanishing point. So, just like we did with the corners of our boxes, right? Dragging this back to the vanishing point. I'm going to take the peak of my roof and I'm going to connect that to my vanishing point with a construction line. So I just take that nice straight line back like this. And then to finish it off, guys, we just have to draw a parallel line. This one can get a little tricky because it's so like angular, right? But remember, this is easy stuff. If I know that this line is going this way, right? It's going on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I just have to match the angle of this line somewhere inside of this, right? So I know that my house, guys, because I cut it off back here, my house ends right here. So it'd be kind of silly if I cut my roof off all the way back here. So I'm actually going to use this point back here, and I'm going to draw a parallel line that goes the same direction as this guy until I hit that construction line that I drew from the point. I hope that makes sense. But that's how you draw a roof. And then erase all this cool stuff, because we don't need construction lines. Whoa, I just threw my pencil. Good thing we have a spare. But that's it. You have a roof. How cool is that? You can draw so many things. I could keep going forever and ever. Chimney, connect to the chimney, right? How cool is that, right? Connect him. I love this stuff. I love perspective, guys. I love perspective because it doesn't take a whole lot of like natural born creative ability. If you can understand like the procedure and like the step-by-step of this, you can draw anything. Like, you don't have to just be like naturally gifted. I know a lot of people out there like the I can't draw people. Everyone can draw this. Everybody can draw this. If you have a pencil, a freaking eraser, and something that helps you draw straight lines, you can draw giant's feet, Star Wars things. I'm sorry if I offended any Star Wars fans. And cool little flower shops, right? I know this doesn't look like a flower shop, but none of you guys want to sit and watch me draw for 2 hours. But yeah, that's kind of our introduction into 1 point perspective. So, your assignment is 3 simplified forms in 1 point perspective. You can turn them into cool things like I did. You do not have to do that. This is what I want to see. Sorry. This is what I want to see from all of you guys, right? I want to see a simplified form at eye level. Draw me a cube at eye level. I want to see a cube above eye level, above the horizon line. And I want to see something drawn below eye level, below that horizon line. Make sure we're labeling everything. Make sure you show me where your vanishing point is. Make sure you label what it is. And I'm going to be looking for horizon lines. So when I'm checking these off, guys, I'm going to look for those 3 forms. Are they in perspective? Did they do a good job drawing their parallel lines? Do they look like cubes, right? And then I'm going to look to see if everything is labeled. And that's going to be kind of your assignment for the next couple of days. Next week, we'll amp it up a little bit. We'll keep going with the knowledge that we've gained from this. And we'll draw something that's a little bit more complex. So work on this for me for the next couple days. Try not to email me the assignments if you can help it. I suck at answering emails, guys. I apologize. I'm way better at Canvas. So, yeah. Send me your cool drawings. I hope this is easy for you. If you need any help, any extra instruction, if you guys Google 1 point perspective, 1 point perspective, 1 point perspective, awesome stuff. I'm sorry, my window is glaring at it. 1 point perspective. There are so many how-to videos on YouTube that show you cool things that you can draw with 1 point perspective. I made this video because I find a lot of those to be super boring. Sorry if I offend anybody, but they're super boring. I think this is way cooler. So that's your homework. If you have any questions, email me. If not, I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I hope you have an awesome, awesome week.